Imagine waking up in San Diego tomorrow morning. The sun is shining, the coffee is hot, the surfers are out on the waves, it looks like paradise. But look closer at the horizon, it's quiet, too quiet. No cargo ships are entering the port of Los Angeles. No destroyers are leaving the naval base. The ocean, usually the busiest highway on Earth, is completely dead. Why? Because 50 miles offshore, sitting silently on the muddy seabed, is something that American radar didn't see coming. We are not talking about nuclear missiles. We are not talking about an invasion fleet. We are talking about the ghost fleet. Reports are flooding in this morning about a massive, covert deployment of Chinese unmanned underwater vehicles off the coast of California. I'm not gonna lie to you. What I'm seeing in this scenario scares me more than a nuclear standoff, because if China can blockade the US economy without firing a single shot, then the war is already over. Welcome to the invisible siege. Let's run the simulation. First, you have to understand what we are up against. For years, military analysts, myself included, laughed at Chinese tech. We called it cheap copies. Well, nobody is laughing now. I dug into the technical manuals for the new Thunderfish class of extra-large unmanned underwater vehicles. This isn't a toy. This is a beast. It's the size of a school bus. It's fully autonomous. And here is the scary part. It doesn't need to breathe. A human crew needs food, oxygen, sleep. This robot. It can launch from a mothership in the Pacific, swim 3,000 miles to California, and just sit there for 90 days, listening, recording, waiting. And the cost? A U.S. Virginia-class submarine costs $3 billion. This drone costs maybe $2 million. Do the math. China can build 1,000 of these for the price of one American sub. It's a swarm. A literal underwater swarm designed to overwhelm American sensors by sheer numbers. But the drone isn't the weapon. The drone is just the delivery truck. The real weapon is what it leaves behind. Smart mines. In our Wargame scenario, these drones deploy the EM-52 Rising Mine. These aren't the dumb, rusty spikes you see in WWII movies. These mines have ears. They are programmed with the specific acoustic signature of U.S. Navy ships. Think about how terrifying that is. A civilian fishing boat passes overhead. The mine sleeps. A whale passes by. The mine sleeps. But the moment it hears the specific propeller rhythm of a U.S. Arleigh Burke destroyer, boom, lights out. The admiral in San Diego is now trapped. He knows the mines are out there, but he doesn't know where. If he sends the fleet out to fight, he risks losing a multi-billion-dollar asset to a cheap plastic mine. So, he stays in port. The U.S. Navy, the most powerful force in history, is checkmated by robots. Now let's talk about you. Because this war isn't just happening underwater, it's happening in your wallet. The port of Los Angeles handles 20% of all cargo entering the United States. In our simulation, the moment the blockade is announced, that cargo stops. Here is what happens in the first 48 hours. Oil prices spike to $200 a barrel. The stock market crashes by 15%. Panic buying clears out every Walmart and Costco from Seattle to Phoenix. Honestly, this is exactly what Beijing wants. They don't need to invade California. They don't need to bomb San Francisco. They just need to strangle the supply chain long enough for the U.S. president to beg for a deal. It's economic warfare at its finest. So, is America helpless? Hell no. While China was building quantity, the U.S. was secretly building the ultimate hunter. Enter the Orca. I've been tracking the development of the Boeing XLUUV Orca for years. And let me tell you, this machine is a masterpiece. It's 85 feet of pure American engineering. It's basically a diesel-electric submarine, but the captain is an artificial intelligence. In our scenario, the Navy unleashes the Orcas. They dive into the dark water to play the deadliest game of hide-and-seek in history. They don't need to sleep either. They use synthetic aperture sonar to scan every inch of the sea floor. But here is the problem: physics. Finding a silent electric drone in the noisy Pacific Ocean is like trying to hear a whisper at a heavy metal concert. It is messy, it is slow, and while the Orcas are hunting, the U.S. economy is bleeding to death. So how does this simulation end? The U.S. Navy eventually clears the mines. The Orcas win the technical fight, but strategically, I think China proved their point. They showed that they can shut down the West Coast anytime they want for a fraction of the cost of a war. The age of the massive battleship might be over. The future belongs to the swarm, cheap, autonomous, and invisible. Now I have a question for you. If you were the president, would you order the Navy to break out and risk losing an aircraft carrier? Or would you negotiate with Beijing to lift the blockade? Would you take the risk? Let me know your strategy in the comments below. And if you want to see what happens when we simulate a hypersonic attack on New York, make sure you are subscribed. This is the Wargame. Dismissed.